What's up, guys? This is Mike Casu, and you're listening to the Brute Strength Podcast. This week, I interviewed Rob and Linn Bailey. A lot of you I know aren't familiar with these guys yet, but they are huge in the fitness industry. Linn is probably best known for being the first professional physique competitor in the IFBB. She's won first place at Olympia, hugely successful physique competitor in the quote-unquote bodybuilding world. These guys have started several highly successful companies and are all over social media and the YouTubes. So they have a very interesting perspective on fitness, business, relationships, and we go into all of that on the show. Before we get started, if you're interested in keeping up with all of our free content, whether it be videos, blog post articles, free programming, etc., go to brutestrengthtraining.com and sign up for our newsletter. Hope you enjoy the show. All right, what's up, guys? This is Mike Casu, and you're listening to the Brute Strength Podcast. I'm here with Linn and Rob Bailey. Guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your insanely busy schedules to do this show with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I'm very, very excited. I've wanted to do this for a really long time. Had no connection to you guys for the longest time. And then me and Steve Cook were talking about something I don't remember one day, and he mentioned one of you, and that's where I got the idea. Hey, would you mind connecting me to these guys? So it's all come full circle. I'm excited.
Yeah. Good job, Steve.
Yes, thank you, Steve. So my first question is this. Nowadays, it's very popular to be muscular and athletic, especially, in the listeners of this podcast are a lot of CrossFitters and stuff like that. But 10, 15 years ago, that was not the case at all. It was way more popular to just be skinny. And it seems like you, Dana, were interested in being fit and muscular before it was cool. Can you tell me a little about what motivated that in you? I know before you started, you were a lot thinner and stuff like that. So what motivated you to go down this path that you're on now?
You ain't cool unless you got muscles. No. So I grew up I definitely didn't have this muscular appearance to me. I was always athletic, but very skinny, soccer legs. So those were a little bit more muscular. So I grew up being a 6-sport athlete generally most of my life, just sometimes playing 2 sports in one season. So just always in shape, always preparing for games. After high school, I played soccer. I got recruited to play soccer for Westchester University. So I played there for 4 years as defense. And I started lifting a little bit in high school, just within gym class, but definitely did not take it seriously. My whole goal in gym class was to not sweat because I had first block. So I didn't feel like sweating. So do minimal as possible as long as it looks like you're doing something. And then in college, we lifted a little bit. We would have team lifts, but I didn't really get into lifting until soccer ended. And all of a sudden, I was still in school, so I had all this time on my hands that I've never had my entire life. I had started dating Rob at the time. And
how old are you at this time?
So we're 20, 21.
I think we were 20.
Yeah.
Got it.
I probably started at 20. I think we started dating 19 or 20. And he also went to Westchester, played football. He was a full-time chef with a minor in college.
Nice.
Full-time chef, minor in college. So that came second.
And playing football at the same time?
Yeah, played football.
Cool.
So
I was busy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Fuck.
So there was about 2 hours in his day that he had off that he would go to the gym. And for working as a chef, you work till 1, 2 a.m. So I just never saw him. And then I had classes at 8 a.m. So I had to go to bed. So he's like, okay, well, if you want to hang out, I'm at the gym from 2 to 4 every single day, so come to the gym. So I started going to the gym, and little did he know that this is what he created from the beginning.
Well, yeah, when she walked to the gym, she really didn't know how to lift, and
yeah, I knew like upper body day, lower body day, upper body day.
And I just fallen in with some like serious bodybuilders. So I got the basics. I wasn't really a bodybuilder or anything like that. I used to like to lift. And when she said, okay, what should I do? And I was like, well, the object here is to hang out together. So why don't you just do exactly what I do? She's like, all right, what are we doing today? And I was like, well, today we're benching. So right away it was like, well, no, just lift like me, because I don't know how to lift, like a girl. Now that's completely changed, that whole fucking terminology.
Everything.
Right.
Back then it was like girls didn't lift, so I was like, I don't know, just do what I do. And I think she fell quick in love with like realizing that like, wait, I can get stronger almost like every week.
Yeah. And that's how he basically trained me to like max out on everything. Like if we bench that day, I would see how much I could do, and then the next week I would try to bump it up or do more reps. And that's like he definitely did force reps all the time.
Yep.
And that's how I got stronger, and I got stronger really fast.
But I don't think that it was never like a thought of an image.
Yeah, it wasn't really.
Which is what I think a lot of the girls are caught up on now. Like they see Dana and they're like, I want to look like you. And when she started, it wasn't really like
I didn't have anyone to look at.
And there wasn't even a goal of like looking like something. It was just like, hey, I like this because it's fun, and I like to get stronger. And then, the third thing on the list was, oh, cool, and I'm growing shoulders.
Yeah.
Right.
I started falling in love with, because I was missing that whole competition side of me. So, like, this was almost like every day was like a competition with myself. How many more reps? I mean, there was times, because when I started, I could only do like 1 or 2 pull-ups. So, like, it was a goal for me to get more pull-ups. So every day we started with pull-ups, and every day I would try to get 1 more. And it was mostly strength goals first. I fell in love with getting stronger. And then, like, the body started to change. So I was like, this is pretty cool. And I liked all the changes that were happening. Not everyone around me didn't always like the things that were changing, because honestly, like, this was like 14 years ago, I feel like. And I just feel like girls really didn't. I mean, there were no girls that really lifted it.
No, not at all.
At our gym, there was a couple girls that were doing figure shows, but I mean, again, still doing like the weird, like lunge with a push, shoulder press, like
weighted dance aerobics.
Yeah, weighted dance aerobics, and lots of cardio.
Yeah,
lots of cardio.
Lots of cardio.
Nice. So I love what you said there. I mean, you said so much. So I talk a lot about, people knowing their why, and that's like such a popular word now, but it's kind of a weak why to just do something for your looks, right? And a lot of people make that mistake to only do things for the way they look. You fell in love with this type of training, and a byproduct was looking a different way. As soon as something becomes really painful, or you have to give up like some of your social life, or you have to work a little bit less to stay in the gym just to look good, you're going to fail a lot easier. So I think that's really interesting that you loved lifting and you lifted heavy. I think that's a different approach than a lot of people are taking these days.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Who has been your biggest role model as an athlete? It sounds like Rob played a huge role in that. Is there anyone else?
You know what? Like, again, like, I get this question probably asked the most. Like, who do I look up to? Like, who was your inspiration? I don't have an answer, because, like, I looked at people that were on magazines, and I didn't want to look like them. I wanted to do aspects of what they were doing. Like, I wanted to be the girl in the magazine, but I didn't want to look like her. I wanted to have articles written about me. I wanted to be featured. At the time, I thought being a pro was some sort of big deal. And I wanted all these aspects, but it was never based on body image. So it was like just things that people did that I also wanted to do. So I guess it was just mostly making up my own goals. But I didn't really have anyone. Then no one was like, wow, you're super inspirational.
Well, and also when she started, there was no social media really.
Right.
Which goes back to the image thing. I mean, she didn't really have anyone to look up to. Like, you couldn't go on Instagram and be like, "Ooh, I want to look like her." It was just, you only knew the people at your gym. So,
or MySpace, which wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then as far as for people for her to look up to, like, I don't know, I feel like you more looked up to like bros in the gym that were doing it, because, you know, other than that, all there was magazines. So like, it's weird that Dana's, you know, so big on social media right now, but like, she started all this prior to social media. So a lot of the characteristics that I think are developing in people now, like, didn't happen to her.
Right.
It was all, I mean, it was just, everything was through myself. Like, I just wanted to be better, do better, be stronger. And yeah, I didn't really look at anyone for that.
And do you think you were just born with that characteristic, or did you learn that from a parent or a past teacher of some sort?
I mean, it definitely has a lot to do with my upbringing. Like, my parents always pushed me to play everything, and they always wanted me to be better. So, like, I would play on these premier teams, and we would travel. Like, I was on a traveling soccer team. I was on a traveling track team, and like, they just pushed me to always be better and be the best. And it definitely is something that I think you have to have instilled in you since you're young. And whether that comes with you naturally or you grow through your parents like that, I'm not sure. But it was definitely like a combination.
Sure. I'm curious. I'm always curious about this. So your parents pushed you to be the best you could possibly be and be the best in general. When you, quote unquote, failed at something or you made a mistake, whether it be sports, school, whatever, how did your parents communicate with you?
Well, it's definitely school. I never really failed in sports. I usually was pretty good. But like their math class, but they got me a tutor. I then, because my dad was a teacher at the time, so he had one of his coworkers actually tutor me in math on the side so I would get better, because obviously grades were super important.
Right. So then he taught you, if you work hard enough, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Right, by getting you the tutor.
Yeah. I mean, there's always other options of getting better.
Right. Rather than the alternative, I'm just not good at math.
Exactly.
Right.
That wasn't really an excuse.
Right. It's funny how intellect is one of those things that people just think is a fixed trait more than the physical. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not a smart person, or I'm an angry person, when in fact we can change all of that stuff.
Yeah, you have the power to change everything.
Right.
It's just like, how hard are you willing to work?
Exactly. Cool. So Rob, a while back you ranted on Instagram. No, it's good. It's all good. It's very positive. Okay. About the fact that Dana Linn doesn't have to show her tits to get followers on Instagram. And I'm paraphrasing, but that was the basic message. And go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go. You finish.
So obviously you're both at least somewhat calculated about what you put onto social media. And I'm just curious about...
Rob, not so much.
Okay, that's fair. I'm curious of what rules you set for yourself, or kind of what... Yeah, just rules you set for yourself on social media and how you think about it in general.
Yeah, that was... I actually regret making that video because I'm trying not to talk down at people or you know, I don't know. I think I can do a lot better being positive than negative. That was a very negative, aggressive video. But anyway.
He's very emotional, and sometimes his emotions take over.
I get fired up. So, I don't know. We, coming into this, we just always wanted to be ourselves. And, I mean, if you see Dana in videos, if you see her anywhere, she's not an over sexual person. She's not she's not like a typical sexy girl. Like, that's not her main characteristic. She's an athlete. She's sort of a tomboy. She's a bunch of other things And when we first entered this industry, and we were trying to get the sponsorships and everything like that, that's where everyone pushed her. They pushed her towards, hey, you need to be more sexy. You know, we need to shoot you in bikini. You know, you need to get breast implants. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to wear more makeup. And it left a really bad taste in my mouth, because my job as a husband and as a boyfriend at the time was, you know, to protect her. I think that's one of my main goals in life, is just to keep her safe. And I felt like involving her in this industry and allowing these people to say stuff like that to her, it made it so she wasn't safe. She was compromising who she was at the core. So from the start, I formed this weird vendetta against like over-sexualizing girls and forcing them to think that's what fitness is. And the rules on social, I mean, I'm getting off topic, but the rules on social for us are just be ourselves. And I think that was Dana from the beginning. She never really had to do butt shots or anything fucking weird, because she was just being herself. And people responded so well to that. And I think that a lot of times that's the only rule we had to set, honestly. I think was just be ourselves. And unfortunately, myself, a lot of times I upload things that I regret later.
Because you're just being yourself.
Yeah, and I get angry, and I don't know. But, I mean, she's pretty consistent. I mean, that's the only rule. I mean, the second she would start pretending to be somebody else, I feel like that's when she would do something questionable.
Sure.
And I think that a lot of the girls out there, I mean, I'm not going to speak for them, but I don't feel like a lot of that's them. That's them just trying to get followers, and it's not knowing any other way to do it. And
right.
It's sort of sad to watch. And I think a lot of times, like, actually good athletes get lost in the mixture of just being like an Instagram girl, when there has to be more there. Like, you have to have some kind of skill that people are interested in. And
certainly.
Don't be confused.
It's
by
not
the
that
likes.
it's not that I'm mad at them, and it's just I get passionate that Dana can do it, and I think that other girls can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that it's not going in that direction as much.
Right. It's the sad part is that when the likes run out or the followers slow down for however long, their cups are not full, right? Because they're using that social media attention to fill their cup. And that's the truly sad part. That, you know, there's plenty of ways to do social media, but especially if you spend if it's such a large part of your business or your life in general, as it is mine, and it seems to be yours, you have to be authentic, because if you're not, if it doesn't line up with your values, that just leads to, depression, all kinds of weird shit.
It's exhausting. I couldn't imagine pretending to be somebody every single day.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
With so many people watching too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will catch up to you.
Right. So Rob, kind of a follow up to that, your wife is pretty famous, and in large part because of the way she looks, as well as being authentic and this inspirational woman. But what's it like for you seeing comments from fans, haters, etc., whether it be people that are sexually attracted to her, people that are threatened by the way she looks? What's that like for you?
So how many years in are we now, Ma?
Like 12.
So I guess we're not 12 years in. I'd say like the social game, we're like 7 years in. As of right now, I don't care at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it does. There's nothing you could say whatsoever that would, I guess, like, even rustle my feathers. Flashback to maybe like 2 years ago when I used to like private message people and ask for their address to fight them.
Yes.
I've done that so many times when I've legitimately I've said, like, listen, man, like, I'm in Florida in 3 weeks. I'll come to you and I'll fight you. It'll be great. And no one ever wanted to do it. And I realize now that, like, it's the fucking internet, man. That's the game.
Right.
The whole game is to try to provoke people to do things. It's that troll atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. I struggle with a few things. Because it's weird. We're trying to get across a certain message, and I think there's things that we can't touch on. There's things that we can touch on. And there are still buttons that you can push a mind, but, like, I don't know, man. As long as nobody does anything weird in real life, I don't care about anything on the internet.
Right. What is that like for you, Dana? Are you kind of in the same boat where it's kind of worn off a little
Yeah,
bit?
I think it even phases me less than him, honestly.
Right.
When you're told something over and over and over, it's like beating a dead horse. Like, the horse is already dead, dude. Like, the joke's not even funny.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, again, like, we got into this whole social media thing, and it was very weird to get, like, these comments about how gross I am and how ugly I am and where the hell are my boobs and all that.
Right.
But, yeah, it really does not affect me
Mm-hmm.
at all. Like, not at all. Because it's like, why does it matter that this fake person with a cat as their profile picture? It's always a cat. It's
Oh,
always
God.
a cat. Just a weird cat doing something. And, yeah, it's just, why does it matter?
There was a time when it did, though. There was a time when I think both of us were just, like, not
Yeah, it was
okay.
definitely the first, like, 2 years.
And it
like,
was, I
they're
remember
so
being
new.
hard. But I think a lot of it was just, like, trying to feed off of each other, I think. And that's what we've done a lot of times. Even back in the beginning when the judges were telling her to get implants
And
all
that was
shit.
all the same time. Like, the judges can tell me the same thing. But when we were getting into this, like, social media was still very new. I started competing. I'm being told that, like, I need to get a boob job, and because they're scaling or knocking points down because I look more masculine. And so you're getting hit from the competitive side, and I wanted to do well. I'm getting hit from the social media side. I'm getting hit from my family side, thinking like I'm weird and I'm doing weird things to my body, and friends that don't really talk to me anymore because I'm super busy. So I'm getting hit from all these different sides. Like, okay, so am I weird? Am I doing something weird? Do I look weird? Like, am I not seeing what everyone else is seeing? So, but then it was like, no, I see exactly what everyone else is seeing. They have the fucked up eyes.
Right.
I don't. Like, I like the way I look. So, yeah, I got over that and got over social media, got over people telling me the way I should look. And, yeah, not one thing could ever affect me. So you can write the meanest thing on my posts, and I read all of them, too. People don't think I read them. Like, we're in charge of both of our own social medias. Like, we do everything, so
Right.
can't comment back to everyone, but I do read them,
Right.
and nothing affects me.
Well, I'm so glad that both of you have that perspective. It's still just insane to me that human beings even if they're separated by a computer screen, would say some of the things they do. It's just atrocious.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that y'all have been able to work through that, and it doesn't affect you anymore. Because like you're saying, it will literally never stop.
Yeah,
No, never.
it's just it's a weird thing. The only time, like, the ones that would get me most mad, like, a long time were when it came from another woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care. Like, a dude can say their opinion, but when another woman is putting you down for the way you look and because of your breast size, like, that's just, it's like, did you not have health class? Like, why do you think they make different size bras? Like, like, we're not all shaped the same. And then you click on them, and then they have, like, 2 kids. It's like, Jesus.
And a cat.
Raising your kids right now.
Right.
If that's how you're acting.
Right.
It's scary.
Tell me about some of the other, if any, like, relationship challenges associated with kind of being famous, as well as working together, and how you overcome those things.
Well, for a long time, we lived in the warehouse for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole, like, getting away from work and having alone time just never existed. Even traveling, like, we just started kicking Rags out of traveling a couple times here and there. He's not always needed.
He's like my creative assistant.
Yeah, we do video. Mm-hmm. We'll probably need him back at some point. But it's just hard because we're just never by ourselves.
Right.
And, like, during the day, like, Rob leaves at whatever, 7 a.m., comes home at, like, midnight, and it's basically we sleep and wake up and he leaves again. And we work in the same building, but, like, we're off, like, kind of doing different things, and he's in different meetings, I'm in different meetings, so we generally don't talk all day.
No. It's weird. Our whole life has become this, there's no, like, business life separation anymore.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
yes, definitely.
It's not a bad thing. I think we just, anything that we like in life, we make into business, and anything business, we don't do it unless we like it. So it's all just the same thing anymore.
There's no separation.
So it's almost like everything's a business decision and everything's a life decision.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of our friends, or it's almost like, well, how do they fit in? Because there's no just like hanging out and talking about nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, everybody who matters to me is somehow involved in our lives, whether it's like, my best friend loves to build cars, so we started a car shop together. And now it's like we're friends, I'm his boss, but we work together constantly. It's just, it's done a really, really weird thing, and it's not negative, it's not positive, but it's definitely weird. Yeah.
Right.
There's no like leaving work at 5 o'clock and then thinking about something else. Like when we talk at midnight when I get home, in bed, it's not like, hey honey, how was your day? It's like talking about the next appearance coming up, or if we want to book this, or it's there's just no more life work separation, I guess.
Right. Do y'all ever make time to completely unplug?
Oh, we did this year. We went to Montana. So this was our third or fourth time we go to Glacier National Park. And we normally, like the last 2 times, we kind of fit it in between an appearance, like in Idaho or Missoula or something. And then we go on vacation there for a couple days with his brother and his wife. So this was the first time we went by ourselves. And I found a place that was super off the grid.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was this off the grid, but we had to drive 40 miles to get phone service.
Nice.
So there was no Wi-Fi.
It was definitely like, it
no
did
phone.
Cool stuff for our relationship.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
instead of, like, we'd go for a hike that day and then we come home and no one can contact us.
Right.
Like, we can't post anything, so we're not on our phones. So that was, like, honestly, that was probably the best week vacation ever.
Right. Yeah, the first couple hours are like so stressful. Like, my business is gonna explode or whatever. Yeah. And then it's just incredible.
Like, even like posting on social, like you almost feel weird that you're not posting. So, but once I made the post saying like, "Hey guys, we're out for like a week, so we'll see you in a week."
Right.
I don't know. Then it felt great. Then it was like, cool. They already know I'm not going to post. So.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure your team members working for you stepped up, and your business didn't fail.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we
have a very good team here back at home. Anytime we leave, everything's in safe hands.
That is awesome. Where did the company name Flag Nor Fail come from? Obviously, the kind of phrase "I shall not flag nor fail," but what does that mean to you guys?
So starting the line. Everyone thinks it's like a fitness specific line, and we were going through a really weird, rough time. I had a good job. I was working for QVC. I left QVC to go work on a separate project. It was my first like dance in the business world, and I sort of got, I guess, taken advantage of, screwed over, etc. Yeah, and it put us in this really weird spot where we were like broke and confused and just in a weird point in time in our life. And like, I don't know if Dana was becoming a little famous, and just weird things were happening. And we wanted to come up with a name for the brand that sort of, I guess, was a little like battle cry for anything in life, whether it was like our relationship, whether it was financially, Dana competing, anything, which was Flag Nor Fail. And just really representing that, like, no surrender, no giving up, not accepting failure as an option mentality. And I don't know, it turned into a great clothing line. It just sort of turned into our whole like outlook on life. People adopted it specifically towards like, benching and being a weightlifter. But, we wanted a name that sort of, it didn't pigeonhole us in the fitness industry.
Right.
And that's why, like, if you ever see our fan base, like, that comes out to see us at some of these events, like, it's the widest group of people. I mean, you have, giant people that are on a weight loss journey. You have, like, kids. You have people that don't even lift. You have moms and dads. And it's just such a weird, eclectic group of people. And I think it's because everyone resonates with the actual phrase.
Right.
And you can we wanted something that could relate to any part of your life. So the coolest thing is when we've gotten people that write us letters saying like how they beat cancer, and all they could think about was flag nor fail, that whole motto, and that's what like got them through.
Wow.
And that had nothing, and it has nothing to do with fitness. They might now have taken into fitness because we kind of do, but not everything has to do about fitness. It could be about a job. It could be about your relationship. It could be about anything. So that's and people have told us so many crazy stories of how that whole phrase has helped them.
That is so cool. I love that. How many flag nor fail tattoos have you seen out there?
Oh my God. I lost count like a couple years ago.
Hundreds?
They're everywhere.
There's hundreds. I don't want to say 1,000, but I mean, there's
Hundreds.
Jesus, there's hundreds. Because a lot of times, like I meet people, and like when we go to an expo, and there's a line, and let's say there's 200 people in line.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be 4 flag nor fail tattoos in there.
That's crazy.
And that's like, so I mean, you think about it, that's every single weekend.
I would say it's even higher than that.
What is that? 50 weekends a year. We see 4 tattoos a weekend.
Right.
I mean, that's just the ones that we're seeing. So I dare to say there's probably over 500 at least.
I mean, sometimes it's just like they get the axe anchor. Some get the whole
axe
phrase.
anchor is really.
Some get like phrases of our shirts, lyrics of his music. I would say it's more than 4. I see at least
That's
like
true. It's a lot.
6 to 8 per expo.
That is awesome. Let's talk about training for a little bit. So you already both talked about how you were lifting right when y'all got together and y'all were in college and you were lifting heavy. And Rob, I saw a post on, I think it was your Instagram a while back, of some huge deadlift. And I know in the bodybuilding world, there's 2 kind of thoughts of belief, at least 2, right? They're the old school bodybuilders that were lifting as heavy as possible, 5-rep maxes and stuff like that. And then there is this newer school of thought of, we can lift higher reps and we can still get some hypertrophy without having to go through maybe as much pain, like joint pain. Maybe it's a little bit safer. Why do you guys lift heavy? Do you still lift heavy? How do you think about that?
I definitely do like a combination. It's almost like the beginning of my workouts, like more power lifter style, where I might work up to a 1-rep max, or like sets or triples, or sometimes we'll do 5x5s. That's usually like the heavy part, which would be like on your main lifts, like a squat, a bench, a dead, sometimes even like a standing shoulder press or something. But the rest of my workouts more like volume, more bodybuilder-esque. Rob varies depending on his mood.
I lift 100% on mood.
Yeah.
So if I show up and it's back day and I'm not feeling anything, I'll lift like the new school bodybuilders of just going through the motions. But if I show up and I'm either angry and in a good mood, I'll just max deadlift. And then after that, maybe I'll just stop, or maybe I'll do more. Or, I mean, I don't have any physique goals. I don't really have any. I'll never step on stage. I legit just lift because I like it. Mm-hmm. So I only do what I like, which is why I don't really do calf raises, because they feel stupid. So you know what I mean. So I don't really do them.
Get my calves bigger.
Yeah, I just recently started doing bicep curls. It's just an exercise that to me always felt sort of dumb, and I don't know. I like certain things, so I do certain things. Mm-hmm. I know that it probably leaves holes in my physique, but I'm not getting on a stage, so I just do what I like.
Yeah,
right.
Which is kind of how I am now. Like, my training has definitely changed since competing. Every show I kind of trained a little bit differently, but it was always generally like higher volume, a lot of supersets, like a billion different exercises. And now I notice, now, because I'm not stepping on stage, I'm not doing certain things that I really hated, like box step-ups, because I think they're dumb and boring, or the glute kickback thing, because I'll just squat really heavy instead. So I definitely find because I think I look fine just the way I am. I'm not being judged. Well, some people judge me on the internet,
Yeah.
but I'm not like skimping down and getting on stage right now. So definitely helps. I don't know. You got to like what you do. You always train harder. You train better when you actually like what you're doing. So people that are stuck in these ways, like, oh, this is the way my coach told me to train. This is how I'm going to get better, but I don't really like it. Then, like, why? What are you doing? You got to like what you do. So the style that I do is like, it's just a mixture of everything. So, and sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. Like I might start with a heavy squat and then do, I don't know, lunges and then do some sort of like CrossFit circuit at the end. Like it's a power bodybuilding CrossFit-y kind of workout.
Well, you just said all the words.
All the words. All those words in one workout.
Right. I love that so much. And I want to get back to some of the stuff you said, but what are, in your opinion, what are the biggest misconceptions about building lean mass?
That you're bulk.
That you have to bulk and then you lean. You don't need to do like a heavy bulk. I've never done, I guess, a typical bodybuilding bulk where you gain like a bunch of weight and you up your fat and you up your carbs. And I generally like always stay very consistent because I just feel like it's kind of pointless to gain all this weight and then drop it all. It's just harder work. When you can gain lean muscle, you're not going to, maybe you don't get as much muscle, but at least it's nice clean muscle and you don't need to put your body through all that torture of gaining all this weight and then having to lose it all. So I've always done cardio all year round. I always eat clean all year round because it's just things I like to do. And it's just part of the lifestyle.
Right. I think it's pretty well accepted in the kind of nutrition expert field to get lean, then build your muscle rather than bulk up and then try to cut down. But a lot of people training still don't know that, right? They still think they need to get huge and then cut it down. But and really you can get to the same place both ways. But if you do it, if you're getting big, then cutting down, your performance is going to go to shit. So that's really the only difference.
Yeah.
What are the 3 most important things to keep in mind when it comes to nutrition and trying to get leaner?
I think number 1 is you actually have to like the food. Just like the training, you got to like training. You have to like everything you're eating. Second thing is it's got to work for you, depending on what type of dieting you're doing. You can kind of make any diet work. I've found that out because Rob and I both have been doing intermittent fasting for 10 months, not 8 months or something.
About 8 months.
And if you asked me like a year ago, like what kind of diet do I need to like shred up or whatever, I'd be like, okay, you need to be eating like 6 or 7 meals, like small portions, this, that, and the other. And I would have never in a million years thought like intermittent fasting, like I would be strong, I would be lean. Like I'm still at my strongest and I'm like just holding my muscle mass. I'm actually doing less cardio now because this type of diet just works with my lifestyle. So you can make any diet work. It just needs to work with your lifestyle. And number 3 is you don't need as much food as you think you do.
Yeah.
You honestly, you don't need as much protein as everyone thinks. Like that whole 1 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight, I think it's false. Just putting it out there. Because
cool.
I'm just putting it out. I don't think you need as much food as you think you need. Some of my best training sessions have been completely fasted. I'm like actually strongest, most energy is actually being fasted. Which is crazy.
Staying a little lighter, I think we've learned.
Right. So as simple as the first one was, I want you to touch on it a little bit more. You said you have to like the food. What's the alternative to that, and why is it so important that you like the food?
Because I mean, if you can only give yourself, like, so your coach tells you or whoever tells you think, or maybe you saw in research that you should be eating tilapia and freaking asparagus for every meal. You can only do that for so long till you, like, want to beat yourself in the head. I mean...
Or you binge on something.
Or you binge, yeah.
Right.
Or if you, like, I never really liked tilapia. I don't eat tilapia. Well, one, it's a scumfish. It's gross anyway. So you got to find foods that you eat. But, like, maybe you don't like fish. Or you're not really into it. It kind of skeeves you out when it gets that, like, gelatinous stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you'd rather eat chicken, then eat chicken. Or don't even eat chicken at all and eat chickpeas. I don't know. Go
Right.
straight vegan mode. But you actually have to like the food, because then you won't be able to keep it up all the time. Like, I eat the same way all year round because I like everything I eat. And it doesn't need to be bland. You can use spices. I mean, there's so many different herbs out there that you can use that can make it flavorful without calories, just by adding, like, cucumbers and tomatoes and just fresh herbs. And then you can make food taste good. It doesn't need to be bland. Like, it doesn't need to be boiled chicken and rice. It's horrible.
Right. I think what we're talking about is basically like hijacking your willpower. And a lot of people just assume that they are like the most disciplined person and they're going to be able to stick to whatever they want. And then slowly but surely eating the same thing over and over and over and over.
You get sick of it.
Right. Anybody would, other than the 1 in 1 million person, right? And everybody thinks they're going to be that person, but set up your willpower in a way to succeed by throwing some variety in there. I think that's great advice.
Yes, you need to keep it variety so you don't get sick of it.
Right.
Otherwise you'll fall off the deep end and you binge, and then it's so hard coming back to that. So figure out what foods you like the best that are part of your choices that you can eat, and make them taste good. Take some cooking classes.
Yeah. So wait. You were a full-time chef, Rob?
Yes.
Yeah, I cooked. I guess we could say professionally for, I don't know, 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, like 16 I started, and I guess I stopped when I was maybe like 26.
What's your specialty?
Ooh.
Fish.
Yeah, I did everything. I ended up working like what would we call it? I guess a French-inspired fish house, sort of. I don't know. I can cook anything. I like keeping everything super, super simple, but I like getting the most out of food without, like, covering it in nonsense, I guess. And now I don't cook at all.
Yeah,
I used it all up. I used up all my desire to cook. And now, like, when I cook, it's so overkill that, you know, I end up ruining the kitchen and then regret it. So
Right. Can you cook gumbo?
Can I cook gumbo? I think I can cook anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be the best gumbo chef. I actually worked with a guy from
New Orleans.
Yeah, who worked down in New Orleans for a while. He taught me a decent amount, but I wouldn't say that it's going to be great, but I could make it.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up close to New Orleans. That's why I'm curious, man.
Yeah.
Gotta
try your hand at gumbo then, Rob.
I'll mail you some.
That's good shit. Yeah, I'll wait for that. Oh, man. All right, I got a few more for you guys before we wrap it up. I want to hear from both of you on this. Have you ever had a time where you were afraid of failing or seriously doubted yourself and wanted to give up? And if so, can you tell me about that and what you did about it?
I mean, I'm scared of failing at every single show I've ever done in my entire life, if that counts.
Absolutely. What does that sound like in your head?
Oh, okay. No, I cry the entire week beforehand. I never feel ready. I'm not lean enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. Everyone's going to look so much bigger than me. Mm-hmm. That's every single show. Every single time. And then once I get on stage, everything just fades away, and I'm awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm awesome. I think my biggest fear of the thing that I'm going to fuck up and fail at is I'm going to get super intense and say our marriage.
Oh.
I'm really not good at relationships at all. And I think
I can concur with that.
I can make any business work. Yeah, I can make any business work. I think I can do anything. Like, if I want to be an astronaut, I feel like I could be an astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I'm not good at is remembering that I'm in a relationship and that you have to, like, every once in a while talk to your spouse, and then you got to be nice to him every once in a while. So I'm really not good at that. And I think when it all came to a head, I think it was living in the warehouse, because it was just, I didn't turn work off, and I was never really taking the time to, like, be like, how are you? Are you actually good? And actually talk. So we bought a house, and that made everything a lot better. Unfortunately, I don't go to the house right now, but she puts up with me a lot. That's the only thing I'm scared at, like, not being able to do, because I'm just so fucking bad at it.
You're lucky I'm awesome.
Well, it sounds like you're very honest about that, and that's
making it out like he's this horrible person.
I'm very aware. I'm just not good at it.
Very,
like, I'm not considerate. I don't buy presents. I don't do anything.
So this last Montana trip was our first vacation alone in 9 years.
Yeah,
that was our first one.
Make it a yearly thing.
Yeah, it's going to be now.
Hell yeah.
Trust me.
That's great to hear.
I picked out spots in the Bahamas I want to go.
Hell yeah. Okay, next one. What do you want to make absurd in 20 years? So I'll give you an example. 20 years ago, it was like common to go into a grocery store and for the clerk to be smoking a cigarette. Today, that's absurd.
Yeah.
What do both of you, and through your Flag Nor Fail company, through your personal brands, what do you want to make absurd in 20 years?
Oh.
Ooh. That's I never even thought about that. I mean, I don't know how, but, like, overweight kids would be rad to get rid of.
That would be
animal abuse.
Animal abuse.
And honestly, like, dude, the new thing that I'm doing the ovo pescatarian thing. So I dropped out meat just because we started to get so many farm animals at our house. We have our own little mini farm, and really seeing the meat industry. I don't normally get on this little soapbox, but seeing the meat industry and sort of how I guess people consume so much nonsense, and it's just that whole side of life that, I don't know, it's just such a weird, like, they throw so much out, and it's so aggressive.
Everything about it.
And I think it needs an overhaul.
Everything about that needs an overhaul. Like, the way that animals are treated, how they're butchered. Like, it's just disturbing. And
which we never say any of this out loud, so I sort of feel like I'm
it's
being weird right now.
Super disturbing. And I'm also trying, like, I still eat chicken. That's, like, my last thing I need to, like, try to work on. But pretty much both of our diets are just fish and eggs, and the eggs come from our chickens that we raise. Mm-hmm. So, like, we wouldn't buy it from another store. So it's just like, yeah, I would love it to be absurd to see any kind of animal cruelty.
Right. That is phenomenal. It's funny, y'all are both talking about this. When I first started college, I had this super, like, feminist, I think it was like an advanced English or something like that teacher, professor. And she somehow convinced me, Southern boy, meat eater, to become pescatarian. And I tried that for 6 months, and it went well. So then I went full vegetarian, and I trained for a marathon at that time. That was unbelievably terrible. That period of life, it was so bad, because I was so uneducated about all of it. All I did was just not eat any meat, and I didn't know what else to replace it with. Right?
Yeah.
Fast forward a little bit more, and I did raw vegan for 6 months off and on.
Whoa.
Don't ever do it. It's atrocious. It is really gnarly.
With the ovo pescatarian, because I'm between 270 and 280 pounds, and I'm sort of known for being, like, a bigger guy. And when I started doing the intermittent fasting, I realized, like, oh wait, I don't need to eat as much, and I can keep this size. And then when I dropped out meat. I'm coming up on a year now, so I've only done fish for a year. And I thought, oh, dude, if I'm going to be fasting 16 hours a day, only eating 3 small meals, and only eating fish as my protein, like, I'm going to be in the 230s. and I'm still 260, and I feel like I look better. I'm stronger than I've ever been. So it's like I'm really curious once I start working fish out of my diet, like what's gonna, like, how big can I stay? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting. A lot of those misconceptions that, like, to be big or be strong, you have to just bang on red meat and chicken, and I don't know, man. I'm not the strongest dude ever, but I think I'm
not weak.
I'm not. Yeah,
That's
I'm not
for sure.
weak.
Right. Well, so why the intermittent fasting, and what benefits have you gotten from that?
So my biggest benefit is my friend actually got cancer and passed away, and she started paying a lot of attention to diet and sort of what's in your food now, and then how much your body has to process. And hers was more about how and the timing of the processing of food. And I started to look like, okay, if I'm eating, 6 to 8 ounces of protein, 6 times a day, like, at the end of the day, really thinking about that. And my initial thought was like, well, how many animals need to die so that I can live one day? And doesn't that seem a little ridiculous that, like, every meal I eat a chicken breast, so that's 6 chicken breasts, so we're looking at what, 6 chickens so that I can survive one day? Like, that doesn't seem like it should make sense. So I fell into intermittent fasting, and I started doing that. And the biggest thing that I liked was how efficient I was in the morning, because I wouldn't have to eat until 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So I could get so much work done before 1 o'clock, and then quick eat a meal again, train, and then have my last meal at 8 o'clock. And then in my head, I'm done eating. So when I went home, there was no, like, rummaging around looking for, anything to snack on, because my feeding window is over. So it's like, in my head, it's I can't eat until 1 o'clock. So you just don't eat. And it made me pay a lot more attention to my diet. It limits how much food I have to carry around. It limits, I feel a lot more efficient, and it makes me feel good that my body doesn't have to process so much food that I'm not really even sure what's in it.
Right.
I guess.
That's phenomenal. So what's your window? 1 to 8?
Yeah, 1 to 8. 8's normally like my post-workout shake, and then I'm done eating after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's mostly it's coffee, sparkling water, or random flavored drinks, Right.
But that's like the whole, like, it was definitely like a harder struggle for me. It took probably a month till I could finally, like, start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I'd wake up and I'd be starving because I'm so used to eating, like, right after cardio. So it definitely takes a lot of getting used to, but once you're used to it, like, once you're in it, like, I don't get as hungry. Like, sometimes it's like 2:30, I'm like, whoa, I was supposed to eat like an hour and a half ago, and I'm not even hungry. So it narrows that. Like, I'm not ingesting as much food. It's not as much calories. So in turn, like, I don't need to do as, like, I found that, like, I could cut down on cardio. Like, I was doing it every single day for 30 to 40 minutes, and now I do it, like, every other day for about 30 minutes. And still lean, it's still the same in leanness, still in strength. Like, so it just, you don't have to cook as much. You're not buying as much food. I'm not prepping as much. You just have more part of your day instead of like, oh, gotta eat again. And then 2 hours later, oh, I gotta eat again. It's just, that's, the bodybuilder diet is just, it's too much work.
It is a lot of fucking work.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a job just to, like, keep yourself fed every 3 hours.
I've messed around with intermittent fasting for a long time, off and on, and the feeling, like, my mind is so clear when I'm consistent with it. It's crazy.
So much more energy, and, like, before, like, I would eat and it would almost make me, like, tired.
You eat and fall asleep.
Yeah. I think I was just eating way too much too often. I don't know. Freaking crazy.
Do y'all mess around with MCT oil or any kind of good fats when you're fasting, or is that
not right now? But I did when I was I did a lot of MCT oil, like, prepping for shows. Just like when I would do it before cardio. So that's the whole thing. But we haven't really, not until I start noticing, like, anything, I'll probably start adding some oils in.
Well, cool. Where can everybody find you guys on social media and your website and everything like that?
Just Google me. No.
Heard that.
Yeah, pretty much. DLB, Dana Linn Bailey.
So we all have our Day Nux. We all have our website. So we have the Flagner Fail. We have Run Everything Labs. DanaLinnBailey.com.
SpeedWarHouse.com.
SpeedWarHouse. The Warhouse Gym. Whatever your work may be. We have our own. Flagner Fail has an Instagram. Rob fucking Bailey has an Instagram.
Rob Bailey and the Hustle Standard for my music.
Dana Linn Bailey. Snapchat. Snapchat's actually the only one that you guys should know because it's very hard to find. They need to make it so you can search people by their names. So my Snapchat, which can be very funny at times, and it's a lot. If you like goats, go follow my Snapchat because it's a lot of goat stuff. Mine is it's DLB, and Rob's is
Kill Rob Bailey.
Kill Rob Bailey.
Fuck, I can't wait to watch the goats.
Yeah, it's goats every single morning.
Awesome.
It's funny.
All right, guys, thank you so much. This has been phenomenal. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We
All right,
had
brother,
fun.
thank you.
All right, talk to y'all soon.
All right, see ya.
See you, bud.